Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula 3 iRacing League. Tonight, we're at the Hungerings. Sorry, I'm tired here, and even my co-assistants last time made fun of me for that one. So, looking for another great race here at League Zero. Now, a little bit smaller grid. I think it's 13, 14 drivers made their way out. So tonight, they're only going to be running the feature event here this evening. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one shakes out. Barnett starting in the top spot. Aguilar starting second. Duckwall starts third. Beaver starts fourth. Kasai starting fifth. Ziegler starting sixth. Cummins starts seventh. You've got Peterson starting eighth. Rettinger starts ninth. Zanave starting 10th. Bianchi starting 11th. Small starting 12th. Opitz starting 13th. And Burrows will round out the 14-car grid. As always, my name is James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for tuning in, supporting the league, supporting the broadcast. As we get ready to send them out, waiting on Aguilar, Kasai, and Bianchi to make their way out onto the grid at Hungaroring. There we go. Lights getting ready to come on. And let's go racing here at League Zero. Looks like Barnett smoked the tires. Aguilar's going to pick up an early lead, and we're going to go 3 wide early on. Beaver, Barnett, Duckwall all in the fray. Looking like we're hinting at some 4 wide action heading into turn 1. As drivers start to check up, taking it a little bit easier, not wanting to throw it away too early. Aguilar is going to pull a massive advantage, and it looks like Chase Small has problems in that number 5 machine. Let's see what happened to Small. Keep an eye out on that number 5. He just grabs too much grass, and away he goes. Peter Rettinger had an off track as well. As up front, things are getting dicey with Beaver, Duckwall, Barnett, Ziegler all in the fray. Now Aguilar's already pulled a second advantage on the rest of the field here. And this is where Aguilar is absolutely the most lethal, putting his head down, checking out, and just focusing on what's ahead of him. We've got 24 laps, 1 scheduled stop. It looks like Beaver getting a little bit of breakaway in second place. Everybody getting some off tracks here. Extending the limits of the track surface is what we're calling it. As for the most part, everybody getting single file. Let's go a little bit further back. Scott Cummins, Xavier Zanave having a battle for 10th. Now the good news is with this limited race tonight, I believe every driver showing up should be able to score some points. As we pan to John Kasai, the number 3 machine. He's starting to close up to Jared Ziegler, the number 57. 2 old friends, rivals that compete very often. And we talk about Scott Cummins. He had an off-track excursion, getting it spun around. Let's see what happened to him here, as he is now down 7 positions from where he started. And just loops it around. I believe he kept it off the wall, so well done. As we pan back to the battle between Ziegler and Kasai. Kasai looking for any opening he can against the 57. Ziegler up 1 spot. Kasai down 1 from where they originally started. Keep an eye out on Nick Peterson, number 24 machine. He's in the fray as well, trying to track down his teammate Kasai, see if he can get pulled up towards the front. As there's Ziegler extending those track limits once more. Like Antonio Bianchi, the bright blue number 17 machine, starting to close the gap as well, as he's chased by the Austrian Peter Rettinger. Ziegler pulls away. Let's go a little bit further up. Duckwall and Barnett linked up a 1/4 of a second apart from each other. Duckwall the 99, Barnett the 59. Now your race leader Aguilar still holding about a second advantage over Beaver here. as it looks like Duckwall, who clicks off the fastest lap of the race, a 1:38.61, starting to close the draft to Beaver. I'm wondering if maybe that draft helping him out a little bit, as Barnett stays tucked in right behind the 99 machine. Or maybe Beaver had a little bit of a bobble here, so it's going to be a three-car battle up for those podium spots. Aguilar still a second ahead of Beaver. And then you've got Beaver, Duckwall, Barnett, all within about 6/10 of each other, duking it out second through fourth. And a little bit further back, that's John Kasai, still with a whole lot of company trying to track down Ziegler. You can also see Peterson, he's lagging back by about 7/10 of a second over this battle for fifth. Now, with no sprint race scheduled tonight, due to the lack of participants, I wonder if that means drivers are going to be a little bit more apt to lick the stamp and send it here, make some more gutsy moves they wouldn't normally in a feature event. Looks like Beaver able to extend that gap a little bit further in second place, now 6/10 ahead of Duckwall. We've also got another battle going on. Xavier Zanave, Kevin Burrows linked up nose to wing. Or excuse me, gearbox to wing to be more apt. That gap was down to about 0.15 of a second. So still some great racing all across the track as Aguilar clicks off the fastest lap of the race, getting down to a 1:37.7. And now Jake Duckwall has caught up to Beaver, as Barnett still relatively within striking distance, sitting in fourth place. He's about a half second back from Duckwall. So if Beaver and Duckwall start battling too intently for second place, that may allow Barnett an opportunity to close it up and see if he can interject himself in the party. And Aguilar, your race leader, he's looking for these guys to really start throwing elbows and maybe slow the pace down a little bit, allowing him that clean air just to focus on what he's doing and check out. As we say that, he's pulled the gap now to 1.7 seconds over the three-car battle for second. Barnett putting the pressure on to Duckwall for that battle for third. Barnett had a rough start. He's down 3 spots from where he started and wants to get back up there in podium contention, trying to maximize points this evening. Barnett goes very wide, looking for an opening around Duckwall. Nothing to find there, though. And look at this battle going on. Ziegler and Kasai going wheel to wheel. Coming out in the start-finish line straight. Ziegler's going to hold on to it, fending off the Texas native John Kasai. Is that going to allow Kasai's teammate Peterson a chance to close the gap as Kasai takes a peek to the inside line? Wheel to wheel once more. Kasai has to back out of it. But will he have the track position, trying to set himself up? Less than a tenth separates the two. Ziegler dives back to the inside line. Here comes Peterson to join the fray. Oh, and a big bobble from Kasai. Holding up his teammate, Peterson. Peterson looks to the outside line. He's going to facilitate the pass. So Peterson now up 2 spots. It's the number 24's machine chance to try and pressure against Ziegler. But we've got problems as Levi Opitz, looks like that rear wing a little wobbly there. He's got issues. What happened to Opitz in the bright blue number 7? Does he get a little bit of help? That's Chase Small right behind him. Oh, I think Small just pushed out a little bit wide there. And ooh, Opitz drills the backside into the wall. And Antonio Bianchi has lawn darted himself somehow. So Bianchi will sit there and think about his life choices. Let's see what happened. Oh! Bianchi does a little bit motocrossing, drills in the inside wall, the front end crumples. So he is done for the out as he sits there and continues to contemplate life, I would suppose. Oh, and more crashes. Micah Barnett has fallen all the way back to 7th, down 6 positions, as now he is behind John Kasai. Kasai trying to catch back up to teammate Peterson, as well as Jared Ziegler. While we have a moment, let's see what happened to Barnett. Barnett took a peek at the outside line, threw it in. And it looks like just a self-inflicted spin there. No bad damage, so that's good. And Barnett is he gonna make the pass up to 6th around John Kasai? They're wheel to wheel, side by side, yes. Barnett gets clear, the number 3 machine. Kasai falling back to 7th. Keep an eye out on that number 59 of Barnett. He's got the pace qualified up towards the front, but now he's just gotta find the consistency if he wants to work his way back inside the top 5. As we ride on board with Barnett. It's a terribly close moment. Barnett has to check up to avoid tagging Peterson. A big save there. And man, oh man, Kasai, Barnett now going to go wheel to wheel. What an action-packed feature event. I think these drivers know, with no sprint race on the schedule for tonight, gonna make things a little bit more dicey, a little bit more exciting. Now, we're not quite to the fuel window. Looking for around lap 12, the fuel window is gonna open for these drivers. And so far, 13 out of 14 are still out on track. Open's trying to limp it along in that number 7 machine. These guys are all about maximizing some points. Looks like John Kasai starting to close the gap once more to Peterson, as everybody getting some off tracks here. And still the battle continues. Barnett, Peterson side by side. Barnett takes a peek to the inside line, the shorter way around the track. Peterson tries to carry the momentum, but not quite able. He's going to fire back on Barnett, the inside line, the final corner. It'll be a drag race to the finish line, but Barnett's going to get good and clear of the 24. And now John Kasai is going to rejoin the back of his teammate. And we just got word, I believe Antonio Bianchi, the number 17 machine, joined us from the infield care center. Actually joined mid-broadcast on purpose this time. Antonio, what happened? Looked like we saw a little bit of motocross action out of that Formula 3 machine.
Oh yeah, unfortunately, that is probably the worst chicane ever made. And I'm not just saying that because I wrecked, but it like turns in on itself and it's terrible. But anyways, my lack of practice, I turned in a little too late, and then it did not set me up well for that left-hander out of the chicane, and I hit that curb right on the apex of the corner, and when it slammed down, it broke actually the left front suspension. I think if it didn't break, I probably would have made it out of that alive, but it broke it. If you actually go watch the replay, you can see my left front jiggling around. So unfortunately, that ended my race pretty quick, but oh well.
Now, Antonio, tonight with this one race on the docket, the feature event, we're seeing a lot more, I think, aggressiveness, a lot more bobbles out of the drivers than we would in a normal feature event. So do you think with the limited schedule tonight, we're seeing drivers push a little bit harder than they normally would in a feature?
I would imagine so. It probably just depends on who's driving, right? I mean, it's kind of, you're getting points no matter where you finish, so you can be a little bit more aggressive, but it's also free points on all the guys who didn't show up. So you might be better off to take like a 6th place than risking it to wreck for 5th, you know? So it probably depends who it is, but I do see definitely there's a lot more guys who are pushy right now.
And kind of talking about that, it looks like Opitz, who I believe is your teammate, kind of limping it along in the number 7. Does he have team orders at this point just to try and secure points and keep that car out on track?
I'll be honest, I don't actually know what happened. I think he bent it. So I think he might have some damage or something. But he's probably going to limp it around, see if anybody wrecks out, try and maximize on the points, I guess, because we're not going to get that many tonight. But whatever, 5's better than none, I guess.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I know not the night you're looking forward to for you or teammates, but hey, points are points. So we'll let you get back to that infield care center, get checked out after that hard hit. Always a pleasure time talking to you, my friend.
Yes, pleasure talking to you as well. Finally nice to be in here for the proper reasons.
Yes, sir.
All right, have a good one.
You as well, sir. That was Antonio Bianchi joining us from the infield care center, the number 17 machine, the pilot of that Formula 3. Had a big moment, drilling the wall. Thankfully, still able to get up here, have a good time in good spirits, and he's cheering on his teammate, Levi Opitz, who we believe is in survival mode. Opitz about 10 seconds per lap off the pace. He slid that back end of the number 7 machine into a wall pretty darn hard, so I believe right now, and I kind of agree with Bianchi's assessment, just clicking off laps, seeing if anybody else crashes out ahead of him. With what we've seen so far tonight, very, very likely, as Barnett and Ziegler are still going at it. It looks like Ziegler's going to give up the 4th place spot to Barnett. A little bit of a lockup there out of the 57. And then you've also got a great battle just a little bit behind, about 2 seconds behind Barnett and Ziegler, Kasai and Peterson. The two teammates side by side, running 6th and 7th. Now they've got to be mindful. Kevin Burrows, the number 80 machine, he's up 6 spots so far. Has worked his way up into 8th. If the two teammates of Kasai and Peterson spend too much time dancing back and forth, that could allow Burrows to try and make it 7 positions gain. Now, Burrows, I don't believe, put down in qualifying, started way, way at the back, and dead last actually started 14th, so having a good night as well, slowly working his way up. And let's see what Burrows is going to do here, tucked in behind Kasai and Peterson. Let's see, as Micah Barnett sitting strong in 4th after those early race incidents, clicks off the fastest lap of the race, a 1:37.27, a half second faster than pretty much anybody else out on track. But Barnett very far back from Jake Duckwall, who sits in 3rd, 7.3 seconds back from that 99 machine. But it can still happen as Duckwall and Beaver a big moment from Beaver, the number 10. The tail end swapping all over the place. That may allow Duckwall a chance to move further up in the podium. But as Bianchi was talking about in his mid-race interview, these guys have got to be smart. They know they can lock up some solid points if they can just bring it home at the end. How much is a 1 position gain to move really worth when you can find yourself at the tail end of the pack? Because everybody except for Bianchi still out on track, rocking and rolling. Opitz comes down pit road, getting some more repairs done on number 7 as Duckwall has a big blink, a massive blink. That's going to make it tough to make around Beaver, and I think, unfortunately, Opitz is out for the night in the number 7. So he will be retiring and having to settle for 13th place. Now here at League Zero, we do have a rule. If you take a tow at any point in the night's festivities, You are done, and you are out of the evening. As what's going on here? A battle for 10th. Zanave, and that's going to be Chase Small. Zanave, the all-green number 12. Small, the red and white, predominantly number 5 machine. It seems like it's been a very tough track for these guys to duke it out on. But still, oh, right as we say that, Zanave. Did he throw it away? Was netcode involved? As Chase Small will be able to run away with a 10th place spot. Let's see what happened here. Looked like Zanave maybe locked up the brakes a little bit. I didn't see any contact or even netcode between the two. And luckily Zanave able to keep it off the wall. Here's Nick Peterson, Kevin Burrows, shaping up to be another battle for 7th. Peterson up 1 spot, Burrows up 6 positions. Burrows definitely the hard charger of the evening. Burrows still about 6/10 off the back of Peterson. Burrows' fastest lap of the race was about 8/10 faster than Peterson, so he has the pace, but now the tire wear starting to become a factor for these drivers. But talking about lap times, let's talk about Micah Barnett still sitting in 4th. The first 136 of the night, a 136.85. So he's very happy with the tire wear, conserving it when he needs it. And as the fuel tank starts to get lower, he's putting off some very, very fast laps. And for that to be registered as the fastest lap of the race, that has to be a clean lap, so no off tracks, which seems to be a common factor here tonight. Drivers extending the track limits, I would say maybe artificially small track limits from what I would consider an off track here. Kevin Burrows will be the first driver down pit road for a green flag stop on lap 14. So the fuel window officially open for these drivers. As once again, Barnett clicks off a 136.74, getting even faster as the night progresses. When will Raymond Aguilar come down pit road? He's pulled a 2.8 second gap over Beaver. Beaver only a second ahead of Jake Duckwall sitting in 3rd. And keep an eye out on Barnett with about 10 laps left to go. I would not be surprised to see him close that gap and maybe end up fighting for a podium position by the time it's all said and done. Now we know for certain if you come down pit road to this point, you're good to go to the end. You will not see any drivers take tires in these pit stops. They'll splash off of fuel, very quick pit stops. Kevin Burrows, the first driver who came in for a stop, 4.5 seconds in and out of that stall, and back out there rocking and rolling. As it looks like Kasai and Peterson have linked up once more. Kasai trying to make the move around the outside. Peterson's going to defend. Now he's on the outside. A drag race down the start-finish line. Peterson, the number 24. Kasai, the number 3. Looks like Peters is going to have a slight advantage into one. I don't think Kasai is going to risk it too much here. Wanting, more than anything, to avoid throwing it into his teammates, sacrificing both cars out of the points. Or at least lessening the points they can bring home. So is Kasai going to hammer back on Peterson? Your top 9 drivers have yet to come down pit road. That's what cycled Kevin Burrows all the way back to 10th. Now only up 4 positions from where he originally started. I believe it was up to 6 or 7 during that opening run. They'll have 12 drivers out on track. It was Levi Opitz, Antonio Bianchi having early woes in the race, having to retire. Bianchi retiring on lap 5, Opitz on lap 9. As we go on board with John Kasai, the propane man himself, the number 3 with Chase Motorsports. As it looks like Peterson pulling a bit of a gap here. Checking back in on Raymond Aguilar. That's what a 3-second gap looks like to Nick Beaver. Beaver has pulled a large amount of time on Duckwall. So not sure what happened to the 3rd place driver. And that's allowed Micah Barnett in 4th to close the gap to that 3rd place 99 machine. Now down to 3.4 seconds. 8 laps left to go here tonight. And Aguilar is going to stretch that run to the absolute limit. Now Aguilar, not necessarily the fastest driver out on track. By about a half second as far as hot laps go compared to Micah Barnett. But he's in such a good spot here. He's got a very commanding lead. Got clean air all the way around him. Just has to focus on hitting marks and minimizing mistakes, which, as we've seen tonight, a little bit easier said than done. As it looks like Aguilar is going to continue stretching the run even longer here. Waiting for the lap time to update. Looks like it was a 1:37.47. They're running about the same pace as Beaver in 2nd, about 0.3 faster than Duckwall in 3rd. As Micah Barnett diligently charging forward here in that 4th place spot. It would be absolutely impressive if he can somehow make something happen out of this. Jay Small coming in for a green flag stop. He'll fall back to 11th. As Barnett closing the gap now, less than 2 seconds to 3rd place, Jake Duckwall. Will pit strategy affect anything here tonight, or is everybody going to come down pit road together? As it is still the top 8 drivers have yet to come down pit road. As drivers really seem to be fighting the track here. And 7 laps left to go. Surely they need to pit here soon. Is Aguilar finally going to come down pit road? Will the rest of the field follow suit? Looks like Aguilar signaling he's coming down pit road. Yes, he is. Will everyone else follow? Beaver stays out. Duckwall and Barnett opting to come down pit road. So Beaver is going to get the credit with a lap led. As Aguilar, Duckwall, Barnett, Ziegler, Peterson, Kasai, all coming down pit road together. A very busy pit road. And maybe Beaver's going to be able to do something different on strategy if he doesn't find himself short on fuel. 6 laps left to go. Now, we've seen some wild moves before on pit strategy. Let's see how it shakes out for this one. As it looks like Barnett gained about 2/10 on Duckwall in pit road. As Kasai, Peterson starting to leave their stalls, Rettinger and Cummins in their pit stalls as well. So everybody except for Nick Beaver, your race leader, and Xavier Zanave in 9th have come down for their one and only scheduled stop of the evening. And Beaver going for a wild overcut. Surely he's going to come down pit road. Yes, he is. So Beaver will come down pit road. How's this going to shape up? He's about 17.6 seconds ahead of Aguilar. After the pit cycle, we pan the camera back to Raymond Aguilar, the number 72 machine, who's definitely been the dominant driver. How far ahead will Aguilar be as Beaver leaves pit road? Takes about 32 seconds by the time you cross the first set of cones on pit road for the time you exit back out onto the hot track. Beaver leaving a stall. What's the gap gonna be? Not too big. Looks like about 1.4 seconds, 1.5 to the advantage of Aguilar. As Aguilar has the momentum, quickly extending that back up to about 1.7. Beaver's gonna be driving like a madman here, and look at this. Micah Barnett's closed the gap to podium position. Jake Duckwall to 0.7 of a second. That gap was as high as 6-7 seconds at one point in this race. And Barnett can smell a podium. We know he's got the pace. He's down 3 spots from where he started. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The battle for the final podium spot. 3rd place, Jake Duckwall, Micah Barnett about to link up and do battle here. Barnett, the black and white 59. Duckwall, the predominantly red 99 machine. Duckwall's going to try and hold on to it. But how long can he defend as here comes Barnett charging forward? 4 laps left to go for our competitors. Barnett takes a peek on the outside line the long way around. Duckwall guards the inside. Duckwall doing his best to avoid pushing wide into Barnett. Barnett goes for a high-low move. Duckwall's going to defend the inside line once more. Barnett trying the long way around. Will he get set up for the right-hander, be able to throw it in? It looks like he will. Barnett takes over the position. Barnett moves back up into 3rd place, edging out Duckwall. Will Duckwall fire back, or is Barnett going to be able to stretch his legs with a little bit of clean air in front of him? Aguilar still your race leader. He's 1.9 seconds ahead of Beaver. Beaver 8.5 seconds ahead over Micah Barnett. Checking back in on Aguilar. Now, as a reminder, Beaver tried something pretty wild on strategy. That's what a 2-second, let's call it a 1.9 second gap looks like here tonight. As the lap times update, Aguilar a 137.11, Beaver a 137.2. The Beaver either needs to find some pace here or hope for a bobble out of Aguilar, as it looks like he was almost given one. Aguilar going in a little bit deep there. Let's see. Looks like in a couple sections, Beaver finds a little bit of time on your race leader, Aguilar. Down to 1.5 seconds between Aguilar and Beaver. Interesting to see what the lap times are going to be this time by, as that gap has been yo-yoing back and forth between 1.5 and 2 seconds over the duration of the last couple laps between these two. And I wonder what the off-track count is amongst these two drivers. As the lap times update, Aguilar at 1:36.98. Beaver 0.3 faster, slowly gaining ground on that number 72 machine. We may yet see a battle shape up. As Beaver absolutely has his head down, excuse me. Beaver running the trademark emojis on either side of the wings. Absolutely wheeling it here in the number 10. The gap's closed to 1.2 seconds between the two. Just 2 short laps left to go. And these are definitely the 2 closest competitors we have out on track here at this point. The Beaver has a bit of a micro lock up. It's a bit of smoke coming off the tires. The gap for the first time in a long time, less than a second briefly between Aguilar and Beaver. Aguilar getting a little bit better drive out of the corner, gaining another 10th very quickly. What's going to happen here? Beaver closing the gap. He's up 2 spots. Aguilar's up 1. Micah Barnett, the number 59 machine, still rounds out the podium. Scott Cummins has issues late in the race. The 55 looks to be a solo car incident. Let's see what happened. Car looked mighty unsettled heading into that first chicane. A little bit too much curbing, and around goes Cummins. White flag will be out this time by for Aguilar. Beaver's closed the gap to 0.8 of a second. Beaver, one of those drivers that's been getting progressively faster as the season goes on, more consistently up here towards the front. Now, aptly enough, running 1 and 2 on track, Aguilar Beaver also first and second in points. White flag is out this time by and Beaver ran 4/10 faster than Aguilar that last lap, but Aguilar still holding about an 0.8 advantage. Micah Barnett clicks off another fastest lap of the race on 1:36.68. Absolutely flying, and that's a clean lap. The Beaver ran 2/10 faster last time by, but that was with a little bit of track extensions, as we like to call them. Oh, what's going to happen? 3/4 of a second between Aguilar and Beaver. A half lap left to go. A quarter of the raceway left to go. 6/10 separating the top two. Aguilar's in a good spot here. If he can just avoid making any mistakes, this should be his race to win. Checkered flag is out as they round the final corner. And it's going to be Raymond Aguilar picking up the win. Nick Beaver finishing second. And we pan back. Micah Barnett will be our top 3 here tonight. Well done. 12 out of 14 drivers still able to finish. And Aguilar will continue his points advantage and keep charging forward on his way to that championship. We're going to try and get our top 3 drivers up here into victory lane. As Aguilar gets sent to the Shadow Realm. I believe that was Peterson. Could have been John Kasai. It's anybody's guess here. We've got Beaver. We're waiting on Aguilar and Barnett. But looks like the gang's just about all here. We're going to start off with Micah Barnett, the number 59 machine. And it is Micah, correct?
Correct.
Excellent. Micah, you started off strong, worked your way to the back, and then started crawling your way back up towards the front. So tell us what it was like for you having to overcome a little bit of diversity in that round.
It was pretty frustrating, pretty disappointing to lose that one right as the lights turned green, but so be it. So yeah, tough track, good racing by the guys up front, and you know, with Ray up there, once he's 2 seconds ahead, he's as good as gone. So yeah, nice job from him and Nick. Good drives, good starts, and yeah, fun race.
Well, Mike, it seems like you're very consistently up here in the podium with us as of late, if not in the top 5 when misfortune doesn't strike. What do you think the plan is going further into the season? Because we've seen guys such as Aguilar, Josh Green, Finley Fitzsimmons, drivers that started off having early race misfortune and having to crawl their back, and the longer we've seen them run, the more consistent they've been. So are we going to be able to see the same from you either this season or maybe seasons next as you continue getting faster and faster?
Well, I mean, let's hope so. It's getting a little old making so many mistakes, but yeah, nobody to blame but me, and certainly going to try and maybe focus less on pace and more on consistency and being able to put all the laps together.
Awesome. Very well done. And as we all know, that's what wins championships at the end of the day. So good points night for you, all things considered. Still able to bring home a third. And Micah, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this evening possible?
Quick shout out to Scuderia Chicken House as always. And you know, a shout out to you as well, James. Really enjoy the broadcast and keep up the great work.
Awesome. Thank you again, Micah. I appreciate you guys and looking forward to seeing you back next week as well, my friend.
Sounds good. See you then. Thanks.
That was Micah Barnett bringing home a third. Up next, we've got Nick Beaver, the number 10 machine. Hard-fought second, still gaining time throughout the run, and it seemed like he kind of ran out of laps there if we were going to see a battle for the lead.
Yeah, and gosh, it seems like that's the story of my life sometimes, running out of laps. I thought that was a pretty cool race. I think In this league so far, the start kind of defines the rest of my race. I had a really good start, and I was from fourth to second right away. I think I was able to hold on to that. Overall, a pretty fun race. It got exciting there at the end.
Now, Nick, we're seeing you up here a lot more, and we saw a lot of solo car incidents. So how is the car feeling out on track? I know the track's probably not a fan amongst the racers, but it seemed like you're getting around fairly quickly and even faster as the run develops.
Yeah, and right. So it is a tricky track. I actually bought it yesterday, and so I put in a ton of laps last night, a ton of laps today, and I'd say a majority of what I learned was actually done in that race, watching what the people around me were doing. You saw for a while, I think it was Jake hanging on, sticking behind me for a little bit, and I was trying to watch in my mirror what he was doing, and I think I learned a little bit from that. I learned a little bit. From Raymond as well. And I think that's where I do my most learning. So yeah, difficult track, but by the end, it was a ton of fun.
Now, I guess my final question for you, Nick. We saw a very late pit stop out of you and that number 10 machine going for a bit of an overcut. What was the plan? What was the strategy on that call?
Um, it was kind of run as it develops. I know I saw that I had about point 0.2 of a lap reading left by the second to last corner, and I thought I could go one more. Um, I guess I never really think about fuel strategy, but I just thought maybe pushing it one more lap and then taking less time to fill up during the pit stop would work in my favor. And it seemed to. I think there was a maybe 3 second gap, and I narrowed it down to at least two. So there was really no strategy coming into this. It just kind of developed as the race did.
Well, a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun you getting faster and faster as that run progressed. So a good points night all in all, a clean race car at the end. So you've got to be pumped. And Nick, who do you want to give a shout out to that helped make this evening possible?
Yeah, I was hanging out with Andrew. He was giving me support. That's a lot of fun. Thanks, Andrew, for hanging out. And then thank you for putting on this stream. I know it's probably very difficult when you have a lower car count. So thank you for sticking with us. I love watching the streams back. So shout out to you too.
Thank you greatly, Nick. I wouldn't. It's a lot tougher when you guys aren't out there racing. So I appreciate you guys and all the great racing we're still able to see tonight, and hope to have you back up here in the podium booth next week.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was Nick Beaver finishing second. Up next, the man, the Little Debbie legend, Raymond Aguilar, the top spot. What a great night for the 72 in a race that seemed like a lot of guys were having a whole lot of problems out there.
Yeah. The track was pretty slick tonight, and luckily my Little Debbie Track Limit Racing Hankook Tire sponsored Formula 3 car just was ripping it out for the night.
Now, Raymond, what makes this track so tough for a lot of people? It almost seems like it's one of those tracks you kind of have to force yourself to go slow to go fast, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. You do have to be smooth and just not make mistakes, and there's a lot of great fans out there screaming. That kind of helps you get pumped up.
Well, it seemed like a lot of fun. It seemed like Beaver was getting a little bit faster, and I am curious, did you guys discuss after the race, maybe in the waiting room before we brought you up here, how many off-track excursions you guys had left between the two of you?
We did. We traded numbers on that. We were about the same. He had a couple less than I did. I thought I was saving him. I thought he was burning him up, but turns out he had less than me. So he was
Now,
just catching me on merit. I was just trying to be as smooth and stable as possible at the end. I knew if I just gave up a couple tenths a lap, I wouldn't spin, I wouldn't have any mistakes, and I don't think he'd had enough time.
Now, talking about the incident limit and everybody getting kind of close in a track that seems very willing to hand them out wherever they can, were you at all worried that Beaver was going to catch up and we're going to see another incident like we saw between you and I believe it was Green in seasons past? Used up all the track incidents and a little bit of bump at the end of a race ruined it. So were you worried that was going to happen this evening between the two of you?
A little bit. I like the way you're thinking there. So I was thinking the whole time. I was at, I think, 13, and I thought, okay, you just can't take anymore, because if I did make a mistake and he did catch up and we had a collision, it'd be an instant 4X, and then I'm out. Which, who's counting though?
Yeah, who's counting? It's just numbers. It's arbitrary numbers on our little virtual racetrack. But
Yeah.
Raymond, a great race, a lot of fun, and still entertaining despite the smaller grid count here tonight. And as always, or I say as always, as usual maybe, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the evening and the broadcast. Who do you want to give a shout to that helped make tonight possible?
I'd like to thank my family for putting up with me today. I had a lot to do today, and to get prepped for this race, it was a whole family effort. My team, Track Limit Racing, Little Debbie, of course, they're constantly giving me the Christmas tree cakes, the brownies I need to succeed in this championship. And above all, I would like to thank the gal who gave James her number last night. It's the first time that's ever happened to him, and I just want to thank her. We still don't know her name, but I want to thank her for doing that for you.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Well, boy, hopefully.
First number you've ever received ever, and I just wanted to point it out. I mean, that was such a gift from her to do that. And
355 is a really good number, so I'm right there with you as well, Raymond. Raymond, great job tonight. A lot of fun, and thank you as always for keeping the other racers and myself on my toes.
Yep, thanks so much.
Thank you, sir. That was Raymond Aguilar finishing in the top spot, and that's going to do our time here tonight. Only the feature event here tonight getting broadcasted. They're going to still run the sprint race later on, but just as a fun race, no points, as it was a limited field, and they did have to enact a race control rule due to the smaller grid count. As always, on behalf of LeagueZero.net as well as Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you back same time, same place next week. Have a great night, everybody.